Hello brothers and sisters and subscribers, thank you so much brothers and sisters out there who kindly give me kind comments. I really appreciate it. I want to do interesting video. It's slightly different from what I do. It's about the 7-year tribulation midpoint events. I'm trying my best to put important events that occur in the middle of the tribulation. Is the first, after 3.5 years, the midpoint, which marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation. I try my best to put it in order, and I found something interesting about the asteroid Apophis also. So let me start with, well, the midpoint, as I said, is the 7-year tribulation midpoint, considered to be a significant turning point, because it marks it more, God's judgment has got much worse, increased. God's judgment is getting a lot worse from that point on. And so I start with the two witnesses. Not that they begin, but the conclusion of the two witnesses that have been preaching. So Revelation chapter 11, 3 to 12. And I will cause my two witnesses to prophesy 1,260 days, dressed in sackcloth. They pronounce judgment on Israel, and especially, and also the world. They are symbolized by the two olive trees and the two lampstands, and are standing before the Lord of the earth. I won't get into if it's 144,000 or the two witnesses. All I want to talk about is the important events that occur at midpoint. Some people say it's the two witnesses, two literal witnesses, or others believe it's 144,000. And if it says here, these symbolize the two olive trees and the two lampstands, and are standing before the Lord of the earth. So it says, I will cause my witnesses to prophesy 1,260 days, dressed in sackcloth. Meaning sackcloth is probably a very sad time, probably for Israel and for the world. Gloomy time, because of judgment pronounced on them. And 1,260 days is 3.5 years they will prophesy, symbolized by two lampstands or two olive trees. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire issues forth from their mouths and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, in this manner he must be killed. So they have power, God-given power, literal and figuratively speaking, pronounced judgment. These are like fiery judgments. These have the authority to shut the heavens, probably literally, that no rain should fall during the days of their prophesying. And they have authority over the waters to turn them into blood, and to strike the earth with every sort of plague as often as they wish. So that's why some people think it's literally Prophet Moses or Elijah, because they did these things, turn the waters to blood, as Moses did that. And when they have finished the witnessing, the wild beast that ascends out of the abyss will make war with them. So when they have finished their witnessing 3.5 years, the wild beast that ascends out of the abyss will make war with them and conquer them and kill them. And their corpses will be on the Broadway of the great city, which is a spiritual sense, great city, Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord was also impaled. Sounds like Jerusalem to me. And those of the peoples and and tribes and tongues and nations will look at their corpses for 3.5 days, and they do not let their corpses be laid in a tomb. And those dwelling on the earth rejoice over them, and they will send gifts to one another, because these 2 witnesses tormented those dwelling on the earth. And after the 3.5 days, spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and fear fell upon those beholding them. So we can see it describes the ministry of the 2 witnesses, which lasts for 3.5 years. So the midpoint is when they end their ministry, because the abyss, the wild beast that sends out of the abyss, I will read that in a minute, a bit more, comes and actually kills them. And many believe that this ministry coincides with the first half of the tribulation and ends midway when the beast comes out of the abyss. Now, that's one thing. So the 2 witnesses' preaching work comes to an end. So I believe the 2 witnesses, or the 144,000, should appear around now. They're overdue. Any time now. That's how close we are to the end. And the next thing is, I want to try my best to put it in order. I found an interesting thing which links the war in heaven. I'm not sure. God revealed to me. So I'm not heard many say this, but about the war in heaven and the Apophis asteroid. Let me read, the war in heaven is next, which, many have said, the war in heaven when Satan and Michael the archangel battle each other, the war in heaven, about midpoints. But Revelation 12, 7-12, and war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels battled with the dragon. Michael the archangel on God's side, and the dragon battled the dragon, Satan the devil, and the dragon and its angels, the fallen angels that Satan, brought down with him, battled, but it did not prevail. Neither was there a place found for them any longer in heaven. So down the great dragon was hurled, the one called Devil and Satan, who was misleading the entire inhabited earth. He was hurled down to the earth, and his angels were hurled down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven say, now has come to pass the salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and authority of that kingdom of God and the authority of Christ, because the accuser of our brothers has been hurled down, who accuses them day and night before God. And they conquered him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their witnessing. And they did not love their souls even in the face of death. On this account be glad, you heavens, and you who reside in them. Woe for the earth and for the sea, because the devil has come down to you having great anger, knowing he has a short time period. So it describes a war in heaven where Michael and his angels defeat the dragon, or Satan, the original serpent, casting him down to earth with the fallen angels. In this event is often associated with midpoint of the tribulation. Well, woe to the earth, I know, because it's being hurled down to earth with great anger, knowing he has a short period of time. That's going to be a worrying time. That's why from the midpoint on, it's going to get a lot worse, because Satan, as it were, I was going to say in the flesh, but yeah, human incarnates will come to the earth. So, you know, I think God revealed to me something quite interesting, you know, what do you call it? Maybe other people found out, but I'm not sure. But about the link between the war in heaven, you know, Michael the Archangel fighting the fallen angels and being cast down with, what do you call it? The asteroid Apophis. I mean, I saw a very interesting video by Tom Horn. I'll probably speak more about it another time, where he spoke about the Apophis asteroid coming on close approach. Some people believe it might hit the Earth, the asteroid, or make a very close approach within the satellites of our, in the atmosphere, which is very close. The link between, and I remember, you know, what do you call it? Satan battling the war in heaven and the Apophis. Let me read the Apophis. Asteroid Apophis, asteroid 99942. If you go, it's 666 if it's backwards. Asteroid 99942 Apophis is expected to make a close approach to Earth on April the 13th, or Friday the 13th, supposed to be Halloween, April the 13th, 2029. Tom Horn believes it's the midpoint, just like the war in heaven. So I pieced it together. This event will, the Apophis, making a close approach to Earth, or hit the Earth, in April 13, 2029. This event, that's about almost 3.5 years' time. 3.5 to 4 years' time. This event will be significant as Apophis will pass remarkably close to Earth, at a distance of about 19,000 miles or 31 kilometers above the surface. So 31 kilometers above the surface, or 19,000 miles, which is closer than many geostationary satellites. This close approach will provide a unique opportunity for scientists to study the asteroid. It will, might even hit. I've got a funny feeling, you know, this could be one of God's judgments, you know, hitting the Earth. And listen to this, the name Apophis, the name of the asteroid, is derived from Apep, A-P-E-P, an ancient Egyptian deity who was associated, listen to this, with chaos and destruction. You can't make it up. Apep was considered the enemy of God's sun god Ra, and often, listen to this, depicted as a giant serpent or dragon that attempted to bring darkness and disorder to the world. The choice of the name for this asteroid reflects the mythological imagery associated with threats and challenges. So Apep is depicted as a giant serpent or dragon in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, because it brings darkness and disorder to the world. So, right, so can you see the similarities? Here's a picture. Well, there's Satan. There's Satan and his angels cast down. There's a picture of the angels being cast out of heaven. Satan and his fallen angels falling to earth, as it says in the Bible, like lightning. Satan falls like lightning to earth. I think that's Luke 10. And then you got the similarity with Apophis asteroid being cast down to earth. And there is a picture of Apophis as a serpent in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Apophis, the god of chaos and destruction. Sorry, it was a bit dull. It's a bit dull out there. So, can you see the similarity that God, you know, revealed to me? Satan depicted He's a god of, chaos and destruction, and depicted as a serpent, the original serpent, and the dragon. And Apophis is depicted in ancient hieroglyphs as a serpent and a god of destruction, and is going to be cast down. So there's a big similarity there. It's Tom Horn, credit to him, because he said he believes it's 13th of April 2029 when Apophis comes. Midpoint is the midpoint of the tribulation. And I might do another video a bit more detailed about that. But if you think about it, 3.5 years earlier, it comes to now. So we better, as Christians, we need to put on the full armour of God, stand firm, because the tribulation's basically here, about to begin. We need to be vigilant and strong. After this, the two witnesses, the war in heaven. You've got the rise of the beast from the abyss. I know what do you call it? As it says, beast from the abyss, and the abyss, or the sea, and it stood still upon the sands of the sea, and I saw a wild beast descending out of the sea. Just sounds like the abyss, with 10 horns and 7 heads, and upon its horns 10 diadems, but upon its head blasphemous names. Let me read it again. And it stood still upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a wild beast descending out of the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads, and upon its horns 10 diadems, but upon its head blasphemous names. Now the wild beast that I saw was like a leopard, but its feet was those of a bear, and its mouth was a lion's mouth, and the dragon gave to the beast the power and its authority, thrown in great authority. And I saw one of its heads as though slaughtered to death, but its death stroke got healed. And all the earth followed the wild beast with admiration, and they worshipped the dragon because it gave authority to the wild beast. This is not only the wild beast, also indicates the beast kingdom, wild beast kingdom, which I'll probably do another video about that. Both the wild beast and its kingdom. And they worshipped the dragon because it gave authority to the wild beast. And they worshipped the wild beast with the words, "Who is like the wild beast? Who can do battle with it?" And the mouth speaking great things and blasphemy was given it. And authority to act 42 months was given it. And it was opened its mouth in blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his residence. So God, it says it, allowed, and its authority, and it was given by God authority to act 42 months, 3.5 years was given. And because, God has allowed testing and judgment on those of the world, and even the church first. So as soon as the beast comes out of the abyss, the beast kingdom goes to war with Christians and converted Jews for the last 3.5 years. So it's at midpoint. And it opened its mouth blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his residence, even those residing in heaven. And there was granted it to wage war with the holy ones and conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe and nations and tongues and nations. Although Satan put breath in this, beast kingdom, God is allowing it, as I said, for testing of mankind. And all those who dwell on earth will worship it, the name of not, and all those who dwell on earth who worship it, we are not to worship the wild beast or its image, or the name of not one of them stands written in the scroll of life if anyone worships that the wild beast or its kingdom. I believe it's I will get into that another time. Not written in the scroll of life of the Lamb who was slaughtered from the founding of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone meant to captivity, he goes away in captivity. If anyone will kill with the sword, he must be killed with the sword. Here is where it means the endurance and faith of the holy ones. Yes, let us have endurance and faith to survive, because there will be persecution coming when the wild beast ascends out of the abyss and the beast kingdom is established. I believe it's Islam, but I won't get into that another time. So, what do you call it? And so basically, Revelation 13 to 1 to 10 describes the rise of the beast from the sea, or the abyss. You see the connection? Abyss is referred to the lowest, deepest part of the ocean, or it could be the deepest parts of the earth, or Tartarus, where the fallen angels that came before the floods are locked away. Describes the rise of the beast of the sea, which is often linked to the Antichrist taking power in the latter half of the tribulation. And now the opening of the abyss, a bit more, at the sound of the fifth trumpet. I believe, and others, that the fifth trumpet is about midway point, because we call it there's 7 seals, 7 7 trumpets and 7 bowls, so 3 sevens are 21, so half of that is about 10 and a half or 11. So that makes it about the 5th trumpet. So this is indeed a very this is, I think, one of a very significant thing, the opening of the abyss. That's really where it gets really bad. We call it on the earth, like demons are coming out of the abyss. I wonder if CERN has a part of it, breaching making a portal into the, from the spiritual realm into the physical world. Let me see, Revelation 9, 1 to, about the abyss. Nine, 1 to 11. And the 5th angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star, listen to this, that had fallen from heaven to earth. And the key of the pit of the abyss was given him. So, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven. Doesn't it sound like Satan being cast out of heaven, as I said, in the war, midway? And the 5th angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to the earth, and the key of the pit of the abyss was given him. And he opened the pit of the abyss, and smoke ascended out of the pit as the smoke of the great furnace, and the sun was darkened, also the air, by the smoke of the pit. And out of the smoke locusts came forth upon the earth, and authority was given them. It sounds like demons possessing hybrid bodies. That's another video. And out of the smoke locusts came forth upon the earth, and authority was given them, the same authority as the scorpions of earth have. So these are not literal scorpions, and they were told to harm no vegetation of the earth, nor any green thing, nor tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. So we must be obedient to God's words and gain the seal of God on our foreheads, in a symbolic way. And it was granted the locusts not to kill them, but then but that these should be tormented, the ones who haven't got the seal of God, 5 months. And the torment upon them was a torment by scorpion. It strikes, and when it strikes a man, it's like a torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. And in those days the men will seek death, but by no means find it, and they will desire to die, but death keeps fleeing from them. And the likeness of the locusts resembled horses prepared for battle, and upon their heads that what seemed to be crowns like gold, and their faces as men's faces, so scorpions' bodies with men's faces and crowns, gold crowns. So these are obviously demons on hybrid bodies. But they had hair as women's hair, and their teeth were those of lions, and they had breastplates like iron breastplates. And the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots of many horses running into battle. Also they have tails, stings like scorpions, and their tails is their authority to hurt the men 5 months. And they have over them a king, the angel of the abyss. In Hebrew his name is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. So Satan is cast down and releases his children, as it were, or other fallen angels, in the abyss. It says here, that one woe is past. So that was a woe, his woe to earth. It's going to be a bad time. This is here. So it's indeed a significant, event when the abyss is open. It's many associated it, the opening of the abyss, midpoint of the 7-year tribulation, often referred to as the Great Tribulation, or usher in the second half of the greater judgments of God. The 5th trumpet describes the opening of the abyss and release of the demonic locusts. Star falls from heaven with then key of the abyss. Sounds like Satan falling down and releasing the demonic locusts. It's quite apt that if Apophis strikes or comes close to the earth on Friday the 13th, when the demons come out of the abyss to plague mankind, it sounds like, Halloween, is meant to be a time where demons roam. So, and also there's one more, sorry it's a bit long, but there's many events that I like to, one more event. Well, and also the abomination of desolation, many believe that is midpoint. Matthew, what do you call it? Daniel, as it says in Daniel 9:27 about the abomination of desolation, which says, and he, the Antichrist, must keep the covenant in force for 1 week, and at the half of the week he will cause sacrifice and gift offering to cease. So that's midway. After 3.5 years he breaks the covenant, and upon the wing of the disgusting thing there will be the one causing desolation, and until an extermination the very thing decided upon will go pouring out also upon the one lying desolate. So the abomination of desolation will occur. That's in Daniel, and even in a time of Jesus also prophesied that would happen, which happened in 70 CE. What do you call it? Therefore, Jesus said, when you catch sight of the disgusting thing, that was the Roman army that causes desolation, as spoken of through Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, let the reader use discernment. Let those in Judea begin fleeing to the mountains. So this is the time many believe is midpoint of the tribulation, where the Antichrist sets up an idol of himself in a temple in Jerusalem, apart from declaring himself God in a literal third temple. So, you know, ultimately the midpoint of the 7-year tribulation is understood to be a period of intensified conflict and suffering, paving the way for the final events leading up to the return of Christ. So please, if you haven't come to know Christ, now is the time, because I really believe 2025 is a pinnacle time. I might do another video about it. We're at the precipice, we're at the edge of the tribulation coming, you know. It's already, the signs are already there, but I really believe it's officially going to start any time now, you know. 2025 Jubilee year, very important. So if you haven't come to know Christ, please do, because there isn't much time left. You know, the grace period is nearly over. So put faith in Jesus Christ. The only means of salvation is the way, who is the way, the truth and the life. John 14:6. Hope you like the video. God bless.